So it seems that we've got our first proper Blood Angels rules teaser from the new Codex. There's some fun stuff for the Sanguinary Guard, including Lance Spears, 3 wounds and a 4+ invulnerable save, a new Captain datasheet, detachment names, and a fair bit more, so let's talk about everything that we know. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where it's launch week for the new Blood Angels. Last night Games Workshop told us that they were coming, now we know a bunch of new rules for the Sanguinary Guard and a few other things. For the Blood Angels release, it looks like it's going to be on the same sort of time schedule as the Deathwing one earlier in the year, and the same with the Tau Kroot launch. A big launch set with the new codex in it, and then a few weeks wait, and then the follow-up release to that with all the bits available individually, plus the Sanguinary Guard and other characters. But this box will be the first place to get the codex. The pre-order for it is the 24th of August, so Saturday morning for most places from Games Workshop, and full release from Games Workshop stores on the 7th of September. As mentioned in the previous videos, the pricing of the box set looks much better on paper compared with a bunch of the other battle forces that have been doing recently. $230, 280 Canadian, £140, or around 180 euros. Games Workshop battle forces often tend to have a theoretical discount of around about 30 to 40%, this one's more like 47%, or going up to around about 60 if you count the copies of the upgrade sprue, which some people might be a bit more enthused about than others. In general though, either way you look at it, the box set looks good compared with many. The main criticism is the fact that the Death Company just aren't quite as cool as people might have wanted them to be. Standard intercessors and things with upgrades as opposed to completely bespoke models, though at least you get quite a lot of them, and you absolutely could just field them all as regular assault intercessors and a Brutalis dreadnought if you'd like. If you are looking to pick up the box at a discount, there's plenty of discount retailers linked in the video description, anywhere between 10 and 20% off depending on where you are in the world, and those links do a little bit to help support Auspex Tactics as well if you do happen to buy anything through them. Here are the pre-order times: midnight Eastern Time in Wargame Portal and Fenris Workshop, 10 AM in the UK in Element Games, and midday Australian Eastern Time in Gap Games. If you're already absolutely certain that you are picking up a copy of the box set, it probably makes sense to be early to it. We don't know how many Games Workshop's going to make of them. Some of their box sets are in good supply, but some of them sell out far too quickly, the Deathwing Assault 1 and the Chaos Battle Forces being good examples from this year. Otherwise, I thought I'd just quickly mention that the channel has got a new affiliate in the EU as well. That's been something that I've been asked for really quite a long time, given that if you buy Warhammer from the UK and the EU, you get hit by customs charges. So lots of people have asked me to find one in the EU. In any case, Tash and Gel Diab are linked in the video description. They do 16% off Warhammer or 20% off new pre-orders. They're based in Germany, and they also ship to Belgium, France, the Netherlands, Spain, Austria and Switzerland, so hopefully should be useful to a bunch of you out there. They did seem like one of the very top options in terms of where people shop over on the continent. Their pre-orders, including the Blood Angels box, should be going live at 11 AM Central European Time, and let me know any thoughts or experiences you've had with them down in the comments. Big launch box things aside though, let's talk Codex rules for the Blood Angels. And between today's preview and the past few articles, we now know a fair bit more about the Blood Angels Codex, and particularly about the new style Sanguinary Guard. In the Codex, it's confirmed that there's 3 different detachments, 2 of which now have had their names officially revealed. The Liberator Assault Group is the new name for the Sons of Sanguinius, and there's a new detachment called the Angelic Host, which focuses on jump infantry. There's one other one in the Codex, which is presumably going to be Death Company focused. I don't really see how it could be anything else given the Blood Angels. Hopefully they'll make the detachment rules interesting and impactful enough to be able to compete with the core Codex detachments. That was certainly an issue that the Dark Angels Codex had, and still does have really. For datasheet numbers, there's 15 datasheets in the book, plus 3 combat patrol ones, down from 19 pre-Codex. That means that we're guaranteed to lose some of them, but not necessarily every single one of them at risk. I'd say for the characters, there's Tycho and Tycho the Lost, both of which seem likely to go. Gabriel Seth, Brother Corbulo, and the Jump Sanguinary Priest seem all at risk. It seems to be pretty confirmed that we'll gain at least one for the Blood Angels new Captain datasheet, maybe even a Death Company version of him if I'd had to guess. Though beyond those characters mentioned, I don't know whether or not the Librarian Dreadnought and Furioso will be safe. I guess the Death Company one will be the Brutalis now, and it remains to be seen whether or not we'll keep the Baal Predator. Hopefully that one will survive until a later date. Otherwise, we'll have Crusade rules for the Blood Angels, plus Combat Patrol rules. This one's actually given us a little bit of info. There's a new one with 3 datasheets, 1 Captain datasheet, and 1 Sanguinary Guard. This will be interesting to find out what else there is in there, as it should represent the new box set. I think it is kind of good though that the Blood Angels are getting a Combat Patrol box set that actually has themed Blood Angels units in it. That was definitely a criticism of the past. For those detachments, they confirmed that the Liberator Assault Group would still have the core rule Red Thirst to increase the strength and number of attacks units get. That one's certainly been massively impactful for Blood Angels over the past few months or so, having them rise to be one of the strongest factions in the game, with devastating charges, with everything from Death Company to Jump Intercessors or Vanguard Vets. This detachment just hits spectacularly hard. Hopefully it'll keep the punchy rules with +2 strength and +1 attack, as opposed to the +1 strength version that they had on edition launch. Otherwise, beyond the likely Death Company detachment that we still don't know too much about, the third detachment is Angelic Host. Apparently the theme of this one is Jump Pack Unit, really quite nice given that that's the bread and butter of the Blood Angels, and I wonder if this one might be a bit more of a mobility themed one, perhaps with options for redeploys or deep strike shenanigans. Kind of a shame they didn't let us know the core rule for it, but they gave us one interesting stratagem preview called Death from the Skies. This one's a very flexible one, allowing you to shoot and charge in a turn in which you advanced or fell back. I'd say out of these, probably the most impactful one is the advance and charge. That's going to add a lot of threat range to your already pretty speedy jump infantry out there, so should be able to rocket them across the board. Maybe not the very most exciting stratagem to preview, but I think that this one is genuinely very impactful. Sons of Sanguinius can't do this, and that was one draw to playing Gladius, at least before Sons of Sanguinius got buffed and became the better option. I would bear in mind though that Angelic Host is likely to have some sort of special rule that isn't quite as dangerous as the Red Thirst, so I guess this might be the detachment that doesn't hit quite as spectacularly hard in melee, but maybe gets you to combat a bit easier. The previewed stratagem as it stands also seems to have a typo as well for some reason. Basically it says that you trigger it in the charge phase, but it also allows you to shoot after falling back or advancing, and by the time it's the charge phase you're not able to do that. I'd guess it's probably supposed to be able to be triggered either in the shooting phase or the charge phase, though I guess we'll have to wait for an errata for that one if this really is the imprint version. It might just be Warhammer community making a mistake though. In any case, I'm seriously quite interested to find out about the rest of this one. Fast moving, deep striking Blood Angels sounds fun to me. Otherwise though, the main thing that they focused on was the Sanguinary Guard. They confirmed a bunch of things that were kind of expected. The squad size is indeed 3 to 6. That tends to be the way that most of Games Workshop's 3-model elite squads work. Though I had noticed that in the show-off pictures they did have a few promo pictures where there seemed to be 9 of them fighting side by side. It does seem that you can only take 6 as a maximal unit though. Still means that you could have 18 Sanguinary Guard on the table if you really wanted to spam them. In the video when they were unveiled, I did speculate that they might get +1 wound. That again seems to be something they've been doing with their veteran type units, such as Chaos Chosen or Dark Angels Inner Circle Companions. Kind of stood to reason that they'd gain a +1 wound, so it's 9 wounds for the 3-man squad there. Though perhaps more interestingly, they also gained a 4+ invulnerable save as well, so they are going to be fairly chunky to take out. Not sure what the logic was to give them a 4+ invulnerable save, but I guess that is kind of nice against big high AP attacks. They won't be quite as easy to take down with things like Melter, for example, or as reliant on Armour of Contempt or Cover for getting good saves. Until we know their points cost, their efficiency on durability won't be that obvious. It might be that they cost more or less than the previous squad, but it seems that for a unit of 3 of them, you'd probably need at least similar sort of levels of firepower to take them down, 9 wounds versus 10, but they do get the invulnerable save as well. They've got some pros and some cons. Otherwise, they showed off their weapon choice. The previous one that they had was 4 attacks at strength 5, AP 2, damage 2 for their Uncarmine Blades. Now they've got the option of 2 different choices, either the Uncarmine Blades or the Uncarmine Spears. To my mind, it sort of feels like they've got a base profile of 3 attacks at strength 6, AP 2, damage 2, so I guess +1 strength but -1 attack. And then your choice of weapon profile gives you a further buff on top of that. If you take the spear, then you get the lance keyword, so that's +1 to wound on the charge, which is all very nice. But if you take the standard blade, then you get +1 attack and an extra AP -1, so that's 4 attacks at strength 6, AP 3, damage 2. Again, maybe as expected, on a per model basis, they are a bit more threatening than the old units, at least for the majority of guys with their melee attacks. At first glance, those profiles seem at least fairly well balanced. On the charge, the +1 to wound will be a 25% damage buff against things that you wound on a 3, 33% against toughness 6 things, or +50% on everything you wound on a 5+. Basically, it only helps you out on the charge and is best against tough stuff. For the swords, the extra attack is a +33% damage increase, and that works against everything, whether they've got low or high toughness, and then around an extra 25% damage increase against things that actually care about the AP, being a bit better against things that have 2+ saves and no invulnerable. Overall, at first impressions, I feel like these swords win out, but not by much, and detachment rules might feed into that a little bit. Whether or not you do get strength bonuses like Sons of Sanguinius, or if there's extra AP stratagems on offer like in Gladius. Otherwise, for war gear, there's just the one Inferno pistol per 3 now, no more full squads of them, which I feel like is a little bit of a downgrade on shooting, but at the same time not really the worst. It'll mean that a few more squads are actually fighting with their signature Angelus bolt guns again. There's no hidden power fist in the unit, as the previous squad could have, and there's one that can still take a pennant, though you do have to take a spear if you want to take that. The previous banner gave you extra objective control. This one might do the same, or something like the Sisters Seraphim bonuses to charging, or it might just be a completely aesthetic upgrade like the Dark Angels Inner Circle Companions. In any case, hopefully they give them rules that are impactful enough to have them feeling like the elite of the chapter on the tabletop. Otherwise, Games Workshop showed us an interesting little datasheet teaser in the previous reveal video yesterday. And this one's basically the combat patrol profile for the Blood Angels captain, but it does tell us a couple of things about the standard version that's going to be in the codex as well. The combat patrol one is listed as Captain Reldio. They tend to give the combat patrol characters their own names, but then the named characters do tend to have basically the exact same profile and basic rules as the generic version. It basically does show us some of the war gear options for the Blood Angels captain that'll be as the standard datasheet in the codex, just in the same way that the Black Templars have their own rules for their Marshal and Castellan, which are essentially just Primaris captains and lieutenants with different war gear options. The Blood Angels will have to copy this, as the generic captain can't take a chainsword or Inferno pistol, so these are the first looks at the stats here. It seems that the Mastercrafted chainsword will be 7 attacks at strength 4, AP 1, damage 2, and the Inferno pistol will be nice to go with it, a punchy small arm, with one shot at 6 inches, strength 8 AB4 and damage D3 with melter 2 again. Otherwise he's got the same melee boosting special rule that the generic captain has, and the missing free stratagems type special rule, that'll be due to this being the combat patrol datasheet. The 4 version will definitely have that. I feel like, as ever, I can't really see many people taking the Mastercrafted chainsword when there's the option of a power fist on offer. The chainsword's pretty cool for theme and everything, but without war gear points costs, it's hard to see how they can really be balanced in 10th edition. I suppose maybe if there was some sort of very specific enhancement that was good for something with an excessive amount of low AP attacks, maybe that could be worth it, though I'm not too hopeful. I do wonder whether or not we might get a generic Death Company captain datasheet as well with the same model. I did notice in the promo for this one there was one painted up in Death Company colours, and currently captains can't lead Death Company squads, so maybe there'll be an outside chance there's one of those. This could certainly feel like the spiritual successor to Tycho and Death Company Tycho if so. Otherwise, we got a small stack of datasheet changes in a previous preview. We know that Mephiston was buffed, the all very sinister Chief Librarian Lord of Death shrugged off the Black Rage, and it now looks like he's going to be ditching the rest of his battle brothers and going as a lone operative. Previously, your best bet might have been to have him lead some assault intercessors into battle. Now he's gained lone operative. He's gone up to a big 4+ feel no pain, so fairly chunky to remove with his toughness 5 and 2+ save. And he also has fights first at base as well now. You don't have to lead a unit for him to have that anymore, and that means that he's going to be really quite hard to deal with. Hard to shoot, even if you can shoot him, then he's got a good save and a good feel no pain, and if you engage him in melee, he's going to be hitting you first with a fairly respectable melee profile. If he does wind up staying at his 100 points that he had previously, then he's looking really quite good. It'd be a big upgrade over most assassins in terms of raw might, even if they did get some really interesting rules in Imperial Agents. Otherwise, we saw a couple of improvements for Commander Dante himself as well. He gained a +1 to advance rolls for his lead unit, and I guess that could be kind of impactful with the Angelic Host, now they can advance and charge for 1 CP. He also keeps his +1 to hit for his lead unit, and also +1 to charge rolls as well. I guess that means if you're an Angelic Host and Dante's leading the advance and charge unit, you'd have an average threat range around about 24 inches or so, which genuinely is very impactful indeed. From a staging point behind a ruin, he could really get his Axe Mortalis to work on people a really long way away. Speaking of which, the Axe Mortalis also got a buff to Strength 8 as well. Previously it was Strength 7, AP3, damage 2, now it's 8 attacks at Strength 8, AP3, damage 2. That's quite a big breakpoint, as it means that he'll be wounding standard Space Marines on a 2+, and if Sons of Sanguinius does happen to stay the same, he'd be up to Strength 10, which would be nice, though I guess we'll wait and see. In the context of the Sanguinary Guard getting increased strength though, going from strength 5 to strength 6, I do wonder if they might be doing something similar to what they've done with the World Eaters in the past, and basically just give them 1 pip of strength more than the rest of Space Marines, and all the unique units just have that at base with this update. I guess we won't know that until we've seen the rest of the profiles out there, but that could be one option that they choose to do to put more emphasis on their unique units, and then maybe the Sons of Sanguinius might drop down to +1 strength and +1 attack, which would still mean that the unique stuff is essentially +2 strength compared with normal. Just a theory at this point though. Otherwise, finally Games Workshop did confirm that there'd be no more Jump Pack Sanguinary Priest. They did so in social media replies when they revealed this rather fun Primaris Sanguinary Priest that you can see on the top right. The model doesn't have the option for a jump pack, so it seems likely that the jump pack priest will go, which was a bit on tenuous ground anyway, given that it was basically done with this firstborn priest model and then attach a different jump pack from an upgrade sprue. If that is true and there's no more jump pack priests, that could be a downside to Vanguard veterans and jump intercessors. They lose a good bit of AP and a feel no pain type save. They wouldn't be quite as brutal for big mainline damage dealers anymore. Finally, for stuff we know so far, we just had one little confirmation that the Death Company Marines with jump packs basically have the same sort of stat line to what they had before. Standard Space Marine profiles with jump packs here. They still get OC1 at base, though in the previous special rules they lost it if they're not near a chaplain. I guess it confirms they're not being named Primaris Death Company with jump packs, so I guess as if we needed any more confirmation, we know that the regular flexible firstborn kit is indeed being replaced. In any case, looking forward to any other previews that Games Workshop chooses to give us for the Blood Angels Codex. I'm sure they'll keep a few interesting bits coming over the course of the week. I'll certainly review the full Codex on the channel as soon as I get a chance. As mentioned, if you were looking to pick up the box set at a discount, the retailers in the video description can save really quite a lot of money versus Games Workshop and help to support Auspex Tactics and the content I make. And as mentioned, feel free to check out Tash and Geldeeb in the EU as well. And a big thank you to them for offering a channel affiliate over there. Let me know your thoughts on them down in the comments. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. I'll certainly cover any more news and rumours that we get. And finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.